today. Hey, hey.
You learn a lot about your relationship when you're in a car. There's something that happens. There's this sort of unwritten contract that occurs whenever we get into a car. We've sort of accepted it, but we do accept it because since we were children, we um, have routinely entered into this contract that says between passenger and driver, I trust you with my life. And as a kid, it's very easy because you trust your parents. But as an adult, and with Eleanor and I, this is the girlfriend that I came out with. There was um, this was the first time that we'd ever taken this sort of long a road trip together, and we were pulling this U-Haul, and we got into Winnipeg right around rush hour, and we had been stopping in campgrounds for most of the journey. But here in Winnipeg, we knew someone, and we knew a friend. It was a friend of Eleanor's, and so we were going to stay at her house for one night before we um, went back out on the road. So yeah, it's rush hour, and there was no place to park around her friend's house. We went around and around the block, like must have been 5, 6 times, and finally we saw a spot that was just big enough. But parking at Gran Torino was hard enough, but parking in Gran Torino with a U-Haul in the back is practically impossible. And Eleanor could feel my anxiety, which quadrupled her anxiety, and I had to get out of the car, and I was helping her direct, and she became almost paralyzed with anger and fear at my inability to understand how difficult this was. And we were yelling at each other. You know, she's rolling up the windows and I'm banging on the roof telling her to just calm down, it'll be okay. You know, I'm yelling, and obviously I needed to calm down as well. But it took us like 20 minutes to park this goddamn car in U-Haul, and it nearly, well, I don't think we spoke. I don't think we spoke at all for, you know, for like the next half day. It was a huge row. And then, I don't know, 2 days later we were coming out of Thunder Bay, and it was early in the morning, and the sun was coming up, and it was very hard to see the lines in the middle of the road. Eleanor was driving, and we had these gigantic mirrors, these mirrors that you had to, because I suppose it was a U-Haul trailer, and um, it was wider than the car. You needed mirrors that would allow you to actually see behind. Anyway, we're driving along, and a vehicle comes by, and the wind from the vehicle was so strong that it ripped the mirror off, and it scared the living shit out of both of us. We had, I don't know, we'd been up for maybe 10 minutes on the road, and Eleanor almost went into this state of denial that it had actually happened. And Ellie, if you're watching this, please feel free to correct me, because it's a bit foggy, and I've written about it in the play, or at least I've sort of transposed it onto one of the scenes in the play. Anyway, we drove for like a half kilometer, and I was yelling at Eleanor to stop. That we had to go back and get this mirror, and she was so angry with me, so terrified of having, I don't know, so upset at having almost just died. You know, and really, when that mirror went over the top, we thought we maybe had sideswiped the other car. Of course, they had no idea what had happened. They just kept on driving. Anyway, it was very early in the morning, and the mirror just lay there in the middle of the highway. There was no cars. And this was the Trans-Canada. I find it really hard to believe that no one came along and ran over it. But when we finally did slow down, I went back, walked the half-kilometer back, and I got the mirror, and we found a gas station, and we reattached it. The road trip is a litmus test for any relationship, and if you have any doubts about whether or not you and the person that you are with have a chance, then take a trip. Take a weekend trip. Make sure you spend at least 4 hours in the car with that person, in one direction, and then you'll know.
Take you riding in my car, car. I'll take you riding in my car, car. Take you riding in my car, car. I'll take you riding in my car. Engine it goes, engine it goes. Take you riding in my car. Take you riding in my car, car. Take you riding in my car, car. Take you riding in my car, car. Take you riding in my car.